therefore, and table 1 the list of beneficiaries thereof, indicating in each case the film title, names of producers, and amount of subsidy granted, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of qualifying production expenditure. And 2, a list of films having benefited from the subsidy thereunder and which have never been released. And B, state the names of the individuals currently serving as members on the Film Rebate Committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me at the outset point out that the Honorable Ranganaden Padayachi, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, is on mission overseas from the 6th to the 16th of July 2023 to attend the 2023 African Caucus meeting in Cabo Verde and the ALM Africa Summit in London, where he has been awarded the title of African Finance Minister of the Year. The National Assembly had been informed on 3rd and 12th July 2023 of the Minister's departure. We have been informed that the Honourable Leader of Opposition has also been made aware by the National Assembly that Dr. Padayachi would not be in Mauritius, given that the Honourable Leader of Opposition has chosen to ask a PNQ while the substantive minister is not in the country. I will provide answers based on the strength of information that I have. Mr. Speaker, sir, the film sector is getting more global in terms of where films can be produced. This runaway film phenomenon is increasing rapidly in both Hollywood and Bollywood. 37% of US developed films and 60% of Indian films are produced outside the United States and India, respectively. Production incentives such as tax credit and cashback rebate have become an important source of finance for film production companies and is a key determinant when producers decide on shooting locations. As a response to the runaway phenomenon, there are currently more than 100 incentive packages from competing countries at a global level to attract international film producers. Some of the key jurisdictions are China, Malta, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Australia, Greece, South Africa, Malaysia, Poland, and New Zealand. China provides at least 50% cash rebate of qualified expenditure. Malta provides for 40% cash rebate. Poland provides 50 to 70% cash rebate of qualified expenditure. Under the New Zealand Film Production Grant, a cash rebate of 40% is provided on qualifying production expenditure for international shooting. South Africa has also introduced a rebate and grant scheme of 35%, with additional 5% for use of local content and employment opportunities for South African crew, totaling 40% rebate. Greece has introduced a 40% cash rebate scheme. Saudi Arabia has launched a 40% cash rebate. Let me cite some examples of high-budget films projects which have been opted for other shooting jurisdictions because of more attractive and favorable package of incentives given by those countries. In 2021, the Hollywood celebrity Gerard Butler's film, The Plane, with a budget of USD 50 million, opted for UAE and Puerto Rico after scouting Mauritius. Shah Rukh Khan production house, Red Chillies, opted for Bulgaria as opposed to Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, facing this growing competition, Mauritius has no other alternative than to respond to this global phenomenon. To further increase the competitiveness of the film rebate scheme in Mauritius, and upon recommendation of the Economic Development Board, the film rebate regulations are being reviewed to be at par with other competing jurisdictions by providing rebate of 40%. The new quantum of 40% will henceforth apply as from July 2023 to new films where more than 90% of shooting takes place in Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me be clear that none of the films, as recommended by the Film Rebate Committee and approved by the Economic Development Board, and which are now being tabled, will benefit from the additional incentives or rebates under the forthcoming regulations. Let me remind the House that in 2013, when the then former Minister of Finance, now the Honourable Leader of Opposition, introduced a film rebate scheme, films were approved without any assessment, but barely on a minimum qualifying production expenditure threshold. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to share that the consequences of not having a proper process to assess film projects. In fact, the very first film that was approved under the film rebate scheme in 2013, namely Southern 2, was never released and for which rebate was paid. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to remind the Honourable Leader of Opposition that he personally attended the clapping ceremony on the 29th August 2013 at Tushrok Hotel. Let me quote extract of his speech on that day. This project offers good visibility in Mauritius on the world map. It also offers professional opening to many young Mauritians who wish to engage in this way. End of quote. Mr. Speaker, sir, the film could not attract distributors in India as it was of limited commercial potential and as a consequence was never released while public funds have been wasted. It is this government, as from 2016, that introduced a rigorous and transparent process based on clearly defined criteria for assessment of film projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, the film rebate scheme not only contributes to the growth of the local film industry, but also has positive impacts on the economy by generating employment opportunities and promoting tourism. The Economic Development Board conducted an analysis of the impact of the film rebate scheme on the economy. According to the macroeconomic model, for every 1 rupee disbursed as rebate, the Mauritian economy has yielded an average of 3.57 rupees in terms of value addition to GDP over the last 7 years. Expenditure from film and television production has also positively impacted on other sectors. 2/3 of total production costs are spent in other business sectors, including real estate, hospitality and catering, transport and logistics, finance and legal services, thus contributing in value addition in various sectors of the economy. The film rebate scheme, since the beginning, that is 2013, has attracted foreign and local producers for the production of 141 film projects with a qualifying production expenditure of 4.85 billion rupees spent in Mauritius. During the period, the scheme has created some 2,000 direct jobs. At the onset, I would like to stress that rebate is only payable once a film has been approved by the Film Rebate Committee and completed in Mauritius. As such, I wish to reiterate that no rebate is paid to a producer if the film has not been completed in Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, for the period 1st January 2016 to date, the number of films approved and completed is 107, and total amount of rebate dispersed is 1.08 billion rupees. Concerning parts A1 and A2 of the question, both lists, as requested by the Honourable Leader of Opposition, are being tabled. I wish to highlight that regarding A2 of the question, the list refers to films that have benefited from rebate, but which so far have not yet been released, contrary to what is being asked, which implies that the films shall never be released. As regards Part B of the question, I am informed by the Economic Development Board that the Film Rebate Committee, in line with the Economic Development Board, Film Rebate Scheme Regulations 2018, the composition is, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, sir, as follows. 1, Mr. Nanda Narayanan, representative of the Economic Development Board and chairperson of the committee. 2, Mrs. Sangeeta Bisundial, representative of the Prime Minister's Office. 3, Ms. Hema Chulai, representative of the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development. 4, Ms. Annabelle Arekion, representative of the Ministry of Arts and Culture. 5, Mr. Satin Juton, representative of the Mauritius Film Development Corporation. And 6, Mr. Savin Tiha, representative of the Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority.
Just perhaps remind the Minister that unfortunately I cannot wait. Parliament is closing next week. I cannot wait for the return of the wandering Minister of Finance. And secondly, you were, I believe, informed yesterday out of courtesy from myself that you were going to be asked at PNQ. So you did not mention that in your opening statement. It's a shame. Now let's deal with this issue. This is a very risky business, film production, and that is why the question is being asked. There's no doubt that mistakes have been made in the past, nothing to be ashamed of. Now I'm going to ask you, what lessons were learned from the Serenity fiasco, where 214 million rupees of taxpayers' money have been invested, and a total flop which didn't even last 2 weeks. So what lessons were learned?
Well, I understand.
Changes were made. That's what I mean.
Well, I understand. I have had a look at the PNQ, which was answered by the now Honourable Prime Minister, and he gave lengthy answers that the Serenity was not a fiasco. If I may cite some extracts of that reply, the movie, there have been reviews for and there have been reviews against. For example, the Chicago Independent has considered it as a flop, whereas the Daily Independent judged it as a good movie for mature cinephiles. Now it is a question of appreciation. The appreciation of the Honourable Leader of Opposition is fiasco, to which we are not party. We are not agreeable to your appreciation.
This is my question now. Are we going to work from reviews like that, or is the EDB sufficiently intelligent to take actual figures from box office reviews, from TV rights, and from other revenues like that when judging on the popularity and success of any amount that it has given to persons? So given now, this is a question. This is a question.
I'm helping you.
I am giving you the question. I don't need your help.
You will have the time to put so many questions. This first question, I am regulating the business. Minister, reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is why the EDB has come with new criteria, and these criteria are the amount of qualifying production expenditure, for example, cast and crews, rental of equipment, food and accommodation, air tickets, transport and logistics.
Now you give me reply yourself?
Secondly, promotion.
Let him reply.
Secondly, allow me to reply. Promotion of cultural and natural heritage of Mauritius, export earnings, employment of local talents and crew, and utilizing local goods and services. We do not only rely on how much it will bring, but also the amount of actual expenditure made by the producers here.
I don't blame you. This is not my question. Okay? My question is, does the EDB keep a record of the revenue that's been generated after it has actually financed a film? So instead of telling me what a review the Prime Minister has seen or I have seen, can you tell me, in actual terms, you're an accountant, how much money each of these films has generated, so we will know whether or not they've been put. So the question is, Serenity,
3 times you're repeating
how much money did it generate?
The aware of the question, let him reply.
Don't shout.
Mr. Speaker, sir, each and every time the Leader of Opposition mentioned about my profession. It is not about my profession, whether if I am competent to answer or not. I only answer on the basis and on the availability of information.
as well. It's nothing to be...
Wait.
Secondly, box office revenue is generated after release of the film. We cannot assess how much income will a film bring beforehand.
Thank you very much. That's my question. My question is now this. Given that we never check revenue generated from the films, you have said so yourself, we never know whether any of the money, the 1.1 milliard rupee that we have invested, the EDB doesn't know whether or not it is successful. And that is the first question. How are we going to better monitor the 1.1 billion rupees that has been spent?
You already put
the 1.1 billion rupees, as the honourable leader of opposition is mentioning, is only a percentage of the whole amount that has been spent in Mauritius. Yes. According to the rate applicable at that time, either it is 30% or 40%. Now, assessment is carried out before money is paid. This is the case since 2013. This is what I'm informed about.
Forget 2013. Now I'm going to ask you this. So we spend money and we never review whether the money has been well spent because we do not know in practice whether the money is successfully spent or not. The other point is this. You have yourself submitted a list of 8 films for which I presume we have spent hundreds of millions of rupees.
Question.
And these... Wait a minute.
Yes, question.
No, I'm going to ask in a minute. Stop this thing. Stop bullying me. Stop bullying me.
Put your question.
Stop bullying me. Let me ask my question.
Put your question.
I'm going to ask my question.
Put your question.
Stop bullying me.
Question.
Stop bullying me.
Put your question.
Have some respect.
Put your question.
I'm going to put my question.
Thank you.
Now, my question is this. Given that we do not monitor what happens after the film is spent, I'm calm. We don't monitor. Therefore, we spend hundreds of millions of rupees. You want me to give the films? On films which are never released. So how are you going to change the monitoring situation? It's a serious question.
Good. Okay.
The honourable leader of opposition is referring to the table that I have forwarded to him. In fact, there are 8 films. Wait a minute. There are 8 films. It is not said that they will never be released. It hasn't been released yet because the first film was shot in 2019. 2022, 1 film, and the remaining 6 films have been shot or being shot in 2023. It doesn't mean that they will never be released, as opposed to the one when the honourable leader of opposition was Minister of Finance, that is Southern 2. This has never been released.
I think you're talking about 1 or 2 million, but you're talking about, I think,
this was money.
150 million for prisoners of paradise. Now, I don't want to go into that. Unless you want to go into that type of debate today, I can go into that type of debate today. But if you take prisoners of paradise, it was shot here 4 years ago. Now, you entered into this debate, this type of debate, not me. Eh? It was shot here 4 years ago. 4 years ago. I don't know if the actors are still alive, but do you think it is normal for a film where the government has spent, the taxpayer has spent 150 million rupees, not to have been released 4 years after?
Let me correct the honourable leader of opposition. The amount spent is not more than 100. In fact, it is 87 million rupees. Okay? This is the first thing. Secondly, the promoter, Mr. AG, he has passed away, and he was the only shareholder of that company. Now, there is a court case in the Supreme Court, and I cannot say more right now.
The point is, what is the sort of measures you take, any insurance you take, any measure you take to ensure that this doesn't recur? Are you going to keep on spending 80 million rupees on other projects? This is the problem.
Reply on this question.
There are regulations at the level of the economic development, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Which ones are they?
No conversation.
Well,
put your question. Put your question to the chair.
What do you think this is, the question?
No, you don't put question to them, Mr. To the chair.
There is an assessment committee.
Yeah.
Money should be spent first of all, then refund is made to them.
Next question.
Okay. Now, we didn't get anywhere with this He's not the substantive minister, so we'll excuse him. The other issue is whether, in fact, the monies that are claimed are or not inflated, because we are paying a percentage. The government, the taxpayer, is refunding a percentage, and the more you inflate the claim, the greater the taxpayer's percentage and lesser the person who is actually the film producer. Therefore, I'm going to ask you whether there is any... I haven't asked... Listen, Mr. Speaker, I haven't asked a question.
Please, let the minister reply. No, you already stated.
I'm asking the minister.
You rephrase.
I'm asking the minister what measures are taken by EDB after the claim has been made to ensure that there are no inflation of figures artificially.
Okay. Well, invoices are subject to audit exercise at the level of the EDB. But audit exercise, how can I tell you how?
Assume that there have been 130 films so far that have been financed. On how many films, get the piece of paper, has the EDB found that the money was inflated? What action did they take? Did they sue the person? Did they go to the police for fraud? What did they do? Please get the information.
Okay, if they have.
So at least we know whether they have done their work. What is the result of their work? Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask now about the committee itself. I made the point that this is a very risky business for which we have little knowledge in Mauritius. Now, given that you have given me the list of the individuals that sit on that committee, is it your opinion that these persons have, with no outside help, have sufficient expertise to decide on whether or not 1.1 million...
I am on my feet. You have no mic and there is no need to reply to this question. I am giving you my instructions.
Sufficient expertise
Leader of
to
the
do
opposition,
so.
I am still on my feet. You don't have the right to ask the opinion of a minister. You can put questions.
I'll rephrase it.
Rephrase your question. Put questions. The population wants questions.
And the population wants less interruption from you. Now, do these people have sufficient experience?
Mr. Speaker, so why not? They are there. They are doing a good job. They recommend that EDB check bank statement, evidence of payment. If there is any overpayment, EDB will naturally disallow the claim.
You have not understood my question once again.
Yeah, you are he's asking about the competence of these people.
Don't interrupt
I have no
me.
doubt about that.
You have not
The
understood
minister
my
wants
question
to
again.
reply on this question of competence.
Okay.
You have answer for that?
Yeah, these are competent people.
That's your answer?
High caliber officers at the respective organizations.
You have not understood my question. It's not a question of... It's not a question... I have a lot of patience, thank God.
Rephrase your question.
My question is this. Not whether or not they have experience to check whether the qualifying expenditure is a qualifying expenditure, but whether they have a question to assess the project itself. When Serenity comes, when Prisoners of Paradise comes, when all these others come, and some are hundreds of millions of rupees, do these 4 or 5 people that you have listed, do they have sufficient experience to dish out 1.1 billion rupees of taxpayers' funds?
The little that I know about film industry, Mr. Speaker, sir, there are films that do well, but there are certain flops. Do you believe that those who promoted those films, the producers and the directors, they knew about how this film is performed? Now we are asking about the competence of these people. How will they know?
Mr. Speaker, I have also got the list of people, of films we have subsidized with taxpayers' money to the tune of 1.1 billion rupees since this government took over. Are you aware that 90% of these films are total flops?
If 90% of total films are flop, I don't have such information. If these films are flop, you mean to say all those films that are shot in Mauritius, 90% of those films are flops.
Yes.
But what about the expenditure that they make here?
Exactly. So that is why I'm asking you, had these people had the competence to be able to help you to answer, they would have given you the box office results. But they cannot, because they do not know.
Make comments about the piece.
So I'm reporting to you again that there's a huge wastage.
No.
Not to take
this
about.
Is opinion. Don't express
Okay.
opinion and remarks. Put questions. The minister is here to reply to questions.
Are you aware that there is huge wastage of public funds in the film rebate scheme as it is being run now? Because you are yourself incapable of telling me which films are or not.
Leader of the opposition, withdraw that word. Leader of the opposition, no reply. You remove that word. Which word? Incapable or whatever.
You are unable. All right? Are you happy with unable? Incapable? No. Unable? Yes. Okay. This is now New English Dictionary. Tell me now.
Whatever, but there are words which are...
Whatever. Unable and incapable.
You should stop being arrogant. You are talking. This is
You don't try to bully me. You don't try. You go and bully somebody else. Don't bully me. Don't bully me. Don't bully me.
Not because you have the right.
You don't have a right. Bully me. Don't bully me. I don't know what you have under your seats. Don't bully me. Yes. These people are unable. They are not incapable. They are unable to tell you which film, and that is the whole issue. That the problem is a problem of assessment at the beginning and monitoring at the end, and that is the issue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I explained in my main reply that there is competition around the world where rebate schemes are being given by the different countries, and we have to align with these countries so as to attract those people to come and shoot their films over here. Now, if I understand the Honorable Leader of Opposition, these films do not succeed because they are shot in Mauritius? What about the expenses? What about the visibility? About the promotion?
No remarks, please. Continue. You finish?
No. I take strong objection to my competence about my profession. Be careful about that.
Of you. Now I'll tell you this.
Me too.
As an accountant, you should be able to answer a proper question when you ask a question.
No, Leader of the opposition, this is not, Parliament is not a place. You don't do that. Please, don't do that with me. You are the leader of the opposition, you come here to say you are counted, the others say you are lawyers and this and that. Don't express your profession here.
Look at your face, you're so upset.
Say it again.
Look at your face, you're upset.
Look at
your face, you're upset.
You're upset, look at your own face.
You're upset, look at your face.
I am asking you to stop being arrogant in Parliament. These are elected members. They are elected members, they have the right.
And look at your face when you talk.
Whatever. Not only my face, there are so many faces. We can look at the faces of everybody. Wait, Honorable Bagwan, wait your turn. Put your question.
I don't remember the question. I don't remember the question. I think...
Next question.
Right, okay. Mr. Speaker, what I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister is this. For he's a good friend of mine. I'm going to ask him this. The question, you mentioned that some mistakes were made at the beginning. Probably true. In 2013, we were small amounts of money. Probably true. I accept. I have no problem with accepting that whoever, BOI, myself, we might have made some mistakes. But the problem is not that. We need to learn from our mistakes. And once from spending a few million rupees in 2013 to hundreds of millions of rupees on particular projects, it's a completely different thing. And you owe it to the people of Mauritius, and this is the question I'm going to ask you. You owe it to the people of Mauritius to have this scheme reviewed and any flaws taken out. And I'm going to ask you, you're not the substantive minister, I'm going to ask you when the substantive minister comes to ask him to have an independent audit review of the film rebate scheme. See where taxpayers, hard-earned taxpayers' money have been wasted. See where we have made mistakes. See where the monitoring is not proper. See where we need experts to help us to judge. Will you therefore agree to speak to the Honorable Minister of Finance so that we have an independent review of this debacle?
I don't think you have to reply to this sort of question. This is a request. You request the Minister of Finance, make your request, official request. Time is over.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye, those against say no. Ayes have it.
Statements by Minister is none. Public Bill, second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are debating today on the status of the Artists' Bill brought in Parliament by my honourable colleague, the Honourable Minister Avinash Tilak. Congratulations to you and your whole team for this piece of legislation. Et de le départ, Monsieur le Président, permettez-moi de dire que, puisque nous débattons, nous parlons d'artistes actuellement, depuis mardi, donc permettez-moi de faire un petit commentaire de ce cinéma de mauvais goût auquel nous venons d'assister. Et je ne sais pas ce qui a poussé le leader de l'opposition à être un acteur comme ça aujourd'hui. Pas connu. Monsieur le Président, une vingtaine d'années de cela, moi-même personnellement, je faisais une petite entrée dans le monde du théâtre. Donc, je foulais les planches pour la première fois, plus particulièrement le théâtre Serge Constantin. Et avec le collège où je travaillais, nous participions au Drama Festival en langue française. Et à cette époque, donc toute l'équipe, le collège, nous avions joué une pièce qui s'appelait Les Limites de l'Aube d'un frère, d'un ami de La Réunion qui avait écrit. C'était une pièce sur l'esclavage, donc une pièce de Axel Gauvin. Et c'est là aussi que je fus appelé à rencontrer, à côtoyer un peu le monde du théâtre et le monde de l'artiste, et aussi les officiers du ministère qui étaient alors Arts and Culture. Et je me permets aussi aujourd'hui de rendre hommage à feu M. Bagan, qui était jusqu'à tout récemment le Director of Culture. Je dois dire que nous avions passé de bons moments au théâtre et que ces conseils étaient très très précieux dans le domaine précis, c'est-à-dire le théâtre. Donc je suis sûr que là où il continue à nous guider dans ce monde. Donc, Monsieur le Président, cela m'a permis de comprendre le monde de l'artiste. Et aujourd'hui, donc, notre gouvernement vient de l'avant avec le Status of Artists Bill. Le projet de loi a été examiné, décortiqué, cassé, menu haché par tous les autres membres qui ont parlé avant moi. Je vais juste me référer à la première page, Explanatory Memorandum, qui est très clair. Et je comprends mal les incompréhensions, les doutes, les flous, les brouillards, surtout des honorables membres de l'opposition. Le Explanatory Memorandum is very clear. Je cite, "The main object of this bill is to provide for the establishment of the Professional in the Arts Council", qui aura après un travail précis à faire. Donc, c'est de mettre sur pied ce conseil. Et la responsabilité de ce conseil, AAF, donc categorize professional artists, promote the status of professionals in the arts, etc. Très clair. Très, très clair pour tout le monde. Donc, c'est de pouvoir, à travers ce projet de loi, mettre sur pied ce Professional in the Arts Council. Et je comprends mal les incompréhensions des honorables membres de l'opposition. Ce n'est pas la loi qui viendra dire comment on va donner la pension, comment on va faire le stay recognition. Ce sera le travail de ce Conseil. Ce n'est pas ici que nous faisons cela. Alors, là, nous demandons, le chef de l'opposition a disparu, peut-être l'honorable ministre Tilak pourra voir avec l'AMFDC et éventuellement avec l'équipe du IDB. Peut-être on pourrait faire une série qui s'appellerait The Invisible Man à la mauricienne. Où lui-même, il a parlé à plusieurs reprises où il a parlé de ses incompréhensions, de ses doutes, et que lui-même et les autres membres, je pense, ne vont pas voter pour ce projet de loi. Ils prennent leurs responsabilités, et je lance un appel à tous les artistes de ce pays, à tous les professionnels du monde de l'art de ce pays, pour voir, voilà, les honorables membres de l'opposition ne vont pas voter ce projet de loi. Nous allons le faire parce que nous avons à cœur nos amis, les artistes, Monsieur le Président. Et, Monsieur le Président, donc quand j'ai commencé un peu dans le monde de l'art, j'ai aussi eu l'occasion à plusieurs reprises d'avoir des formations dans le théâtre, bien sûr, dans le chant, et aussi, à un certain moment, j'ai eu une petite formation dans les métiers du cirque, ce qui est très rare à Maurice. Actuellement, nous avons quelques personnes comme ça qui font un peu certaines formations dans les métiers du cirque. La jonglerie, par exemple, nous avons... Non. Moi, je respecte le Parlement et je n'irai pas jusqu'à dire que le Parlement est un cirque. Monsieur l'honorable Boulel, qui nous fait des vers, des proses. En passant, il existe aussi des alexandrins, des vers, donc allez lire un peu Molière aussi, s'il vous plaît. Donc la jonglerie, la magie, les cracheurs de feu, l'acrobatie. Je me souviens qu'à l'époque, à la cité Berkeley, il y avait une école d'acrobatie, de cirque, et ils évoluaient dans le centre de jeunesse de la cité Berkeley. Et aussi tout ce qui touchait, bien sûr, au métier du clown. Comment apprendre à faire rire les gens. C'est difficile, ça, de faire rire les gens. Et là, je souhaiterais faire une petite remarque. Donc, à 2 reprises, malheureusement, il n'est pas là, l'honorable Osman Mohamed m'avait traité de clown. Oui, je suis fier d'avoir appris le métier de clown. J'en suis très, très fier. Et tout comme moi, il y a de nombreux amis qui aujourd'hui, qui sont passés par une formation, j'ai aidé aussi dans la formation, qui gagnent leur vie. Aujourd'hui, ils vont se reconnaître, qui gagnent leur vie dans le métier du clown, dans les animations de spectacles, d'anniversaires d'enfants, de fêtes de fin d'année pour les compagnies. Donc, je dis à l'honorable Osman Mohamed, je suis fier d'avoir appris le métier du clown. Alors, en tout cas, le clown que j'ai été, je n'ai jamais donné de maison à des mineurs, moi, en tout cas. Donc, Monsieur le Président, les métiers de l'art, c'est très varié, c'est très vaste. L'honorable Boulel, dans son discours, a dit qu'il a eu, pendant le week-end, l'occasion de rencontrer des artistes, je ne suis pas en train de mal dire, et que les artistes lui ont fait part de leur appréhension. Tout à fait logique, tout à fait normal. Il n'y a pas de souci dessus. Mais je souhaiterais dire à l'honorable Boulel que nous, de ce côté de la Chambre, mon collègue, le ministre des Arts et du Patrimoine culturel, d'autres membres aussi, c'est pas juste le temps d'un week-end que nous rencontrons les artistes. Nous le faisons le plus souvent possible. Parce que nous n'attendons pas qu'un projet de loi arrive au Parlement. À ce moment, on dit, ah yo, artistes existaient dans ce pays-là. Hein? Allons causer un coup avec eux et voir ce qu'ils en pensent. Non, Monsieur le Président, nous rencontrons les personnes de tous les secteurs de la population et nous sommes en contact avec eux le plus souvent possible. Moi, personnellement, d'autres membres aussi, à travers mon ministère, hein, où nous sommes en train de promouvoir les métiers de l'art au niveau des jeunes. Donc, nous sommes en contact très souvent avec les artistes. Et nous avons reçu un accueil extraordinaire, ce qu'il s'agit de ce projet de loi qui vise à donner un cadre, qui vise à aider nos amis les artistes à être reconnus socialement et qu'ils puissent aussi plus tard avancer économiquement dans leur vie de tous les jours. Monsieur le Président, le ministre a expliqué toutes les étapes avant d'arriver à ce projet de loi ici, avant que ce projet de loi ne soit débattu ici. Il a très très bien expliqué toutes les étapes et je ne compte pas revenir dessus, c'était clair. Et puis, bon, beaucoup de membres de l'opposition disent « Ah, on attendait 4 ans, 10 ans... » Excusez-moi, Monsieur le Président, la préparation d'un projet de loi, ça, hein? Et ça prend le temps qu'il faut et parce qu'il faut le faire bien aussi et il y a des procédures qu'il faut respecter, évidemment, ça va prendre le temps qu'il faut. Mais, ceci dit, nous ne sommes pas en train de faire un amendement à une loi déjà existante, là, hein, c'est tout nouveau. Hein, donc, ce n'est pas un amendement, ce n'est pas une loi qui a déjà existé, que notre parti au pouvoir avait déjà dans le passé travaillé dessus. C'est la première fois. C'est un projet de loi historique, Monsieur le Président.